Welcome along to Outdoor Gear Chat. This is episode 10. What's in your sack? I'm Wayne. I'm your host for today. Hello. And I'm joined today, as always, by this legend that's beside me. She's not beside me. She's beside me on the screen somewhere in the north of Cumbria, I think, isn't it? And I'm way down south. Anyway, let's not go into that now. But hi, would you like to introduce yourself?
You'd never guess from our accents that I'm in the north and you're in the south.
No, I know exactly how strange that is. Yeah.
Oh, I am Cathy Casey. I am one of the owners and co-directors of the Joe Brown shops in Snowdonia and the Climber shop in Ambleside.
We're here today to talk about rucksacks, bags, the stuff you carry stuff in, I guess, isn't it? So, what's our starting point then? How do I know what rucksack I need? There we go. I'll go with that one.
Oh, that's the huge question.
I know. I'll go with the big one.
Oh gosh. Well, it's the one you need is the one that fits you the best. Because rucksacks come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, as we all do. But fundamentally, if you're carrying a rucksack, that means you're putting weight onto your body, and your spine supports all of your weight, and it also supports all of your central nervous system. So it's extremely important, and you need to protect your spine. And the best way to do that is to carry your load properly and efficiently, so the load or the load of the weight of the items that you're carrying is spread around your body properly.
So it's distributed across you, isn't it? So yes. A note for those listeners who don't know me, I'm 6'6". I'm a big one, to say the least, and that in my youth, my experiences of lugging stuff around in a rucksack was horrible, because all the weight was right down at the bottom. It dragged my shoulders back, and I just ended up with a sore neck and shoulders and most of my back. And then my hips got sore because all the weight was on there as well. And that was because the rucksacks that we're carrying were for normal teenagers, probably, weren't they?
They do come in different back lengths. That's a really important point.
They do now. I don't think they did. Well, I'm only 28, so it wasn't that long ago, obviously. But yeah, that's my own age. All right, don't know me to laugh quite so much. That's my own age. No, I think when it was definitely when I was younger. It was like, that's the rucksack, that's the size it is. I don't care how big you are. If you're 5 foot or you're 7 foot, you're getting the same thing. And but now, like you said, and that's an important thing, I guess, isn't it? Getting the right one for the length of your back.
It is. And you'll find, now, not all manufacturers do this. Not all manufacturers actually state their back lengths on the back, but some do. And it is actually important to know your back size. This is where we get a little bit technical, because I'm going to show you how to find your C7 vertebrae and your iliac crest. Actually, I won't show you because it's a podcast. I'm going to describe it.
Go on, describe it. Yeah. She was just standing up to turn around then when she did that. It was very visual. Cathy wasn't. Sorry, I'm leading you astray now. Go on, describe where it is. Sorry, Cathy.
Okay, right. So first up, your iliac crest, which is the hip area of your body. If you stand with your legs apart and your hands on your hips, bit like you're about to do that famous dance, bend your knees in tight.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Are you going for that one? I was going, I'm a little teapot. And you were going on Rocky Horror Show. There's a difference. Sorry. Anyway, so stand like you're gonna.
Yeah, hands on hips. And you can feel on your hips, your hips can push down onto your hip bones.
Yeah.
So where your squishy bits start, if your hands are just resting on top of your hip bones and where your squishy bits are, and your thumbs are behind you and they're pointing into the middle, where your thumbs point into, if you just run them into the center of your back, that is your iliac crest.
Right.
So from there, you measure up your spine to your C7 vertebrae. Now, you do actually need a mate to help you do this. It's not something you can do on your own. But if you just literally bend your neck as far forward as you can, your C7 vertebrae will just naturally peek out. It's easy to see actually than to feel. And your friend can just see where that is, pop the finger there, measure back down to your iliac crest. That measure in centimetres is your back size. Oh, okay. And for some brands, you can then pop onto their website, or you can look at the hang tags with the rucksacks, and that will tell you, there'll be a little grid there telling you what size back length you need.
All right, okay, they're cool. I never knew that. Because yeah, the flip side is I like that one. I'm gonna have that one. Then you buy it and you've spent a fair amount of cash on a rucksack that gives you sore neck, shoulders, and back, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Rucksacks are they're like clothing, they're like boots. If people come into our shops and they're wanting to buy one, we say, first of all, let's pop some weight in it. Because a rucksack will sit very differently on your back when it's got some weight in. They're all made to different sizes. Some of them are split out into a men's and a women's. But it's gender differences, they're never that black and white. So you'll often find a man with a narrow frame will fit a so-called women's rucksack more efficiently, and a lady with a broader frame may very well fit a so-called man's rucksack. I'm doing little inverted commas on the podcast. I think that'll come across. I think the finger grammar will work on this one. Yeah, well, it isn't. Yeah, I'm just reflecting on loads of my mates who, female runners particularly, who are always saying, well, I'm buying a female rucksack, and it doesn't seem to, or a race vest is the modern term, isn't it? But and it just doesn't fit for all sorts of reasons, because I guess it's a chest issue as well, isn't it? The clip cross chest clips on a male one will work where boobs get in the way, frankly, is with females, isn't it? So you will find on a lot of rucksacks and certainly running packs as well, there's a facility to move chest straps or sternum straps up and down, so you can just get them into the right place. And it is important to do that, because otherwise you can end up with them up around your neck, like absolutely strangling you, or they're in the wrong place altogether, and it's just uncomfortable and squishing everything. Sometimes if I'm traveling, for example, and I'm backpacking, I probably won't use my chest strap just because it can draw unwanted attention. But they are very useful, because they just draw in the shoulder straps and they just take that little bit of extra tension off of your shoulders. Yeah, and
I'd never realised that until recently as well. Using that myself, is having the clip across there. It does distribute it, doesn't it? Particularly if you've got a bigger one that's got a waist buckle, a clip at the waist buckle, and then nothing until the shoulders. Even having like one of those. They're like the fake carabiners, aren't they? Attached to a bit of bungee or something that you can attach across your chest. It definitely works to distribute that more effectively and stops your shoulders getting pulled back. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, we sell special straps. You don't need to use your carabiner and your bungee cord. That's just downright painful.
Yeah, no, it was. I guess it's one. I always have the time. Well, I don't know. The fashion, the fashion ones for having your gloves and stuff like that. So I always have those on my rucksack anyway to attach gloves onto. But yeah, it's, like you say, it's better to buy something, or I was going to save it for the end. Get your local cobbler involved to do stuff as well. Some of the stuff they can do is phenomenal with modifying bits of kit, especially on rucksacks. Sorry, so men's versus women's isn't as clear cut then, is it? So is there? It's just go and check out your rucksacks, and that's sort of the recommendation, regardless of gender, would you say?
Well, definitely, we would say that to customers when they come into our shops, purely because of what I've just explained, because of frame. It's the same with clothing, it's the same with footwear. Actually, the term men's and women's is put on it to differentiate it, but essentially it's just cut a little differently. Now with rucksacks, men and women are designed differently. Their skeletons are different because we're designed to carry load differently. And there's been a huge amount of research into it, actually, mostly because of the military. The military have done a lot of research, but Low Alpine actually worked with the University of Cumbria as well. And they discovered that a women's iliac crest is, generally speaking, an inch higher than men's, and that's why this kind of shorter back length is seen to be more of a woman's fit than a men's fit. But it really, really does depend on your body shape.
Sorry, say that again about the crest bit. It's higher in a woman. Did you say?
Yeah, so generally women will have a shorter back than men.
Right.
But again, it's a real generalism. Everybody's different. And the key thing is to get the rucksack that fits you. And it might be a different colour to what you was expecting. It might have different features to what you were wanting. Maybe you read an article about this particular rucksack that had all these all singing, all dancing features, but it can have as many pockets as you like and have the fastest drying wicking mesh known to man. But if it doesn't fit your back and you're not carrying that load efficiently, you're just going to feel tired at the end of the day. Maybe you're going to have rubbing in the lumbar area. Maybe you're going to have sore spots on your shoulders where it's pulling down. And then also, if it's not fitting properly, if it's not balanced, if it's sitting too high, if you're on uneven terrain, then that's going to potentially create an issue with knocking you off balance as well.
Yeah, and I see that a lot again. Yeah, especially in runners, but in a lot of walkers actually, where it's swinging from side to side on the back. It's just like, well, yeah. There's going to be all sorts of trouble with that. And yeah, when you get to the end of the day, if not beforehand, isn't it?
You're just going to feel knackered, absolutely shattered at the end of the day. Yeah. You need your pack in neatly around your back. There shouldn't be any gaps between your shoulder straps as they fit around your back. And in fact, when you sort of trying your pack on, whether it's at home or if it's in the shop, if you just put some weight in it and get it all set up, start with your waist belt, get that sorted and centralized first. Just bring your shoulder straps down so they're not tight, but they're just pulled taut. And then the load straps, which are the little straps on your shoulders. I'm doing it again. I'm doing the little...
It's working for me anyway. Yeah.
So your little shoulder straps, your load straps, you need to have those taut as well, and they should sit at about 45 degrees on a tall pack, on a large capacity pack. And then that's it. That's tweaked. And if you look side on in a mirror, you'll be able to see if there's any sort of huge gaps. Either you need to fine tune your fit, or you need a different size or a different style of pack for you.
Done that. You've just mentioned that, and I think it's important for a bit of reiteration. You've mentioned mirror a few times now, isn't it? But having that and being able to see, how that sits, how for you, even I guess even if there is other people around, in the shops or elsewhere that can help you adjust some of that. It is important to be looking at that yourself, because because there's going to be times when you're going to be going out on your own anyway, aren't there, and knowing how to adjust it and where the different bits and pieces go. I remember I've got 3 of them now actually, but an AARN pack, so AARN, they were a Kiwi company in New Zealand. Okay. And I when I first tried the pack on, it's fantastic because they have sort of a cross chest thing going on as well, and there's about 4 or 5 different clips on your front, and then multiple adjustment points on the back as well to adjust the back length basically. And that Martin, it was a company called Likey's down in Brecon, and Martin was adjusting it for me, but then he said, oh, hang on a minute, he said, you need to look at this yourself and figure out how you're going to do it just in case, because there's straps absolutely everywhere on some of them, isn't it? Aren't there rather? And it's just getting used to be able to do that yourself, because your pack's not always going to be full to capacity and might need some adjustment. Or it might be full to bursting and need some adjustment as well. So having a mirror, checking it out properly.
But you might not be wearing the same clothing either. So you need to micro adjust to allow for that as well. And you can feel the difference when it's right. And what you're aiming for is an 80-20 split. So because your legs are so much more stronger than your upper body, you want about 80% of the weight on your hips and 20% on your shoulders.
Okay.
I can see you computing that way.
I know, yeah. I am. Yeah, so it's numbers don't go down well in my head. That's it. So, you mentioned a couple of bits of different features on packs then as well. So about you've mentioned stuff about mesh and load bearing and so on. And I'm a big one for having. And one of the reasons why I choose packs now is I like this is. It's a terrible visual one. I'm sorry, Cathy, but chest pouches.
Yeah.
having stuff on my front that's accessible to, particularly to eat, but also gloves, hats, buffs, those sort of things. Because otherwise, if I don't have fluid readily accessible, I won't drink. I know I'm terrible for it, no matter how many times I have to get it into my head. And yeah, I'm not a fan of camelbacks for all sorts of different reasons. So I tend to have bottles on my chest pouches, basically. So how do you decide? Is it a preference thing rather, or is it what would you say?
The thing about outdoor equipment is you can only learn what's right for you by going out and doing stuff. And you'll learn about yourself that you won't drink unless you've got it readily accessible. Definitely, I can relate to that. Ways around that are using things like a camelback or a hydration, a platypus system, definitely. And there's packs that allow for those to be held in. They'll have specific pouches for that, and those can work absolutely brilliantly. But one thing to watch out for, if you are out in the winter or if you're at altitude, they will freeze, and that's a very miserable reality when you discover that the straw hydration system has just frozen.
Or popped off the end of the. We've had that before as well. So it's become detached, and you've been wandering along, wondering why your bum's wet for a couple of hours, and then it's not a pleasant experience, is it? Yeah.
No.
Or it's got clogged up with, because you've put you've like put a powder in there as well, and it's got all clogged up but those are all reasons why I don't like to use them anymore, and I prefer bottles. But sorry,
and then you've got sort of smaller pouches. Some of the bigger packs have smaller pouches on hip belts as well. So if you've got those, you can make sure if you are using your gloves and you want those readily accessible, do they fit your phone? Because if you're using that as a camera, does that fit? Because that's in and out all the time. Or do you have that in a pocket on your trousers? Where do you go? It's all as you go out and do more stuff, you discover where you want things and what's going to be right for you. So the pack that you buy at the very start is we can talk through what you need, definitely, and we'd always do that. But as you do more things, maybe you take on more activities, you want a running vest to go to complement your day walking pack. You're walking in the winter, so maybe you want a bigger rucksack to allow for more clothing. If you want to get into backpacking, maybe you need a bigger one again to allow for stove, tent, sleeping bag, things like that. To gauge your kind of size of rucksack, you'll find that they're, quote, litres. So a 10 to 15 litre sack would be a day sack, or it could be a running pack. Up to a 30 litre would be a winter pack, and 50 plus would be for backpacking. And you'll see that there's extra pouches, extra pockets on those. Some people, it depends what you're doing. If you're walking and you like to have access to all these things, then look for lots of packs and ways of getting into your pack quickly, or bits that you can add on, like you said, chest pouches. If that's the way you walk, that's perfect. They'll work for you. Go for it. Some people, if you're climbing, for example, you don't want any extra pockets on the outside. You just have to be a bit more disciplined about when you take things in and out. And you just want a pack that's very streamlined and won't get caught or stuck on pieces of rock and be a hindrance. If you're traveling, if you're backpacking in this country, maybe again you want something with lots of pockets so you can access things for easily and quickly. If you're traveling, when we can all travel again on aeroplanes, maybe you want a pack that doesn't have lots of straps, can get caught in aircraft machinery or things like that. So
yeah, the carousel, it's caught in the carousel.
And you don't necessarily want to use those bag wrapping devices at the airport, because it's just a ton of plastic. So it's all stuff just to have a chat with, come in, shop, take your time, have a chin wag, try it with weight, talk about what works, how it fits. Can you get this in? Can you get that in? What's part of the rucksack is going to stay dry, if any, because rucksacks, generally speaking, aren't waterproof. There's a good reason for that. The fabrics usually are, but the seaming isn't. And that's because the taped seams aren't really good at taking loads. So they'll fail. Not to mention they'll be unbelievably expensive. So you need to think about, when you're using the rucksack, how you're going to keep things dry. So some packs come with a little pouch at the bottom. You can out a waterproof cover, and over it goes, and everything's lovely and dry. If you wanted to carry things on the outside of your pack, you probably don't want to put a cover on it. You might need to cover things individually. One of my favourite things is just a packet of dry bags in different colours, and that's my fire system. So if I'm ratching around and it's daylight today where it's just lashing down, you can look in your pack, and immediately your red one is your first aid, your green is your food, your blue is your spare clothing, and that makes life a lot easier out on the hill. And but again, it's stuff that you can only sort of really learn by going out and doing it and having fun.
Yeah, indeed, and I've got similar, but mine have it written in Sharpie: wet, dry, food, and stuff like that on. And varying thickness of dry sack as well for me. So I've got some of those really, really ultra light, which are like a couple of them have torn actually. But I got sponsored by a company that produced them a good old while ago, so I've got a bunch of free ones, but they've ripped because they are really, really thin, but they were super lightweight and did what they needed to at the time. But the ones that have lasted for me are actually the more heavy duty, so they're a bit weightier, but and continue to do the job. But you use those for all sorts, and that, like you say, then everything that's going into the bag actually will be kept dry because they are in a dry sack. Or on the flip side, if you want to keep all your wet clothing in a particular, that'll keep it'll stop the wet clothing connecting with everything else as well, won't it? And I must admit, I think one of my worst experiences was up Great Gable with a Berghaus rucksack with one of those rucksack covers on, and it just ended up working like a sail. Was just like you were saying. They were saying before, it just rocked me all over the place because the wind just kept hitting the side, and it was like, it was awful. So I ended up taking that off, and everything inside got wet, but at least I was a bit more stable on the mountain than it was on the hill. So, but I guess as well, they come and ask you in the shop, but if you've got a mate or someone who does outdoorsy stuff as well, having that conversation, because that goes on at loads of events that I see all the time. It's like, I like the look of that. What's blur everything out. Is what do you think of it? And away you go.
And just like talking with your mates, just if you're part of a club, having a chat with all people there, just gleaning as much information as you can, to help you make your decision, because it's not just from us. We've got a lot of experience of helping people, and between us on staff, we've got runners, we've got climbers, we've got walkers, we've got backpackers, and folk who've been on expedition. But the more knowledge you can bring in, and maybe you can lose your life to forums if you want to on the internet, but they're probably all getting close to being on screens far too much. Get out for a walk with a group, with your mates, and just have a chat while you're out walking. Definitely.
And I have in the past borrowed and I've had from people from me as well, borrowed packs that they might be thinking of buying a particular brand and just wanted to give stuff a go. Really, it was and that's worked really well, because you're like, all right, I wouldn't have spent I don't know, one of them was quite expensive. I think I wouldn't have spent 140 quid on that, for example. And I'm glad I tried it for an afternoon or whatever. But yeah, rather than having invested in it, he says, use it, yeah, in inverted commas, yeah, which would be brilliant. Because then I'm not clever enough to then go on eBay and or whatever, or resell it or take it back to the shop. It just ends up in a cupboard somewhere. He says, looking in the cupboard in the corner. I wrote a lot of questions down there, and I thought I think we've gone through them. Oh, it's fixed or the fixed or adjustable.
You've got the fixed back system, and that basically is very streamlined. The size of the rucksack is what you get. You can't adjust it, is what that means. So there's probably nothing to add weight. There's nothing to get caught or to go wrong, but it does mean that you really need to pay very careful attention to your sizing and make sure you definitely get the right size for you. As we said, if it's too long, maybe you're going to get rubbing on your lumbar. If it's too short, you're going to get pressure points on your shoulders, inefficient movement, increased fatigue and balance issues. So you definitely want to get that right, which is fine. You know, we can help you do that in the shop, no problem. Your adjustable back system there's a multitude of ways companies have come up with to create the adjustment on the back to get it the right length for you, but it'll basically, once it's set, it'll fit soundly around your body, spreading the load. And actually, if you've got a child, for example, doing Duke of Edinburgh's Award or doing things like that, going for an adjustable back system can work well because they're going to still be growing as well. So it means they're rucksack. In fact, I still got my original Berghaus women's rucksack that I got for my Duke of Edinburgh's Award 5 years ago. So yeah, the adjustment works so that you can just essentially, be it Velcro, be it straps, make that back system longer or shorter to micro tune it to your body, and you'll see it a lot on bigger rucksacks in particular, because it's more involved. It adds to the cost of the rucksack, but also if you are carrying a 65 70 litre rucksack over a number of days, you need it to be absolutely perfect to your back, as opposed to perhaps a 15 20 litre rucksack that you're going to be wearing for a few hours.
You can. Your body is going to be more forgiving then, isn't it? You can get away with it. And then so you sort of mentioning that term a couple of times as well on the day sack thing. So that's you're going to be out for, I don't know, a matter of a short few hours in the grand scheme of things. And that's what I have a 10 litre sack just for exactly that reason. You know, it's for I can fit a butty and a few bags of crisps in there for the kids, and some squash and a first aid kit, and that's pretty much it, isn't it? But as opposed to, like you say, if you're going to be doing a longer day where you need more clothes in, and you start increasing the literage of your pack as a result of that, because you need more clothes or whatever, a spare pair of pants for days like today when it's just sheeting down. Or when the lip of your hydration
exactly but it actually, I mean, you can go for bigger rucksacks, but it's also careful to be aware that big isn't always necessarily beautiful. Neither's too small. You know, if you go for something really small, you're going to have to be cramming stuff in, dislocating your thumbs, and everything has to be packed just perfect and right to go back in. Which, if you're out on a day walk in heavy wind, or you're tired and you're hungry, you just get frustrated with it. If it's a big rucksack, you just end up filling it and end up carrying far too much weight. And how you pack your rucksack is also really important as well, and that weight distribution within your rucksack. So having the lighter things at the base, like a sleeping bag, for example, or your warm jacket, the heavier things in the center of the pack but next to your back, so things like water bottles and flasks, and then the lighter items further away from your back in the center of the pack, in the main body, or in the lid pocket as well.
Yeah, and that again, that's something. Yeah, that's always been counterintuitive for me, because I've always thought, well, stick the heavy stuff down in the bottom because that's like the center of gravity almost. But like again, that's where you just get your shoulders pulled backwards, and there's all sorts of neck and back issues that come as a result of that, isn't it? And you get all that soreness there. Yeah. And we just want to go back to materials. We've mentioned materials a couple of times within this, and I've seen, particularly at the moment, a sort of more of an emergence in maybe more traditional looking packs of different varieties as well. So waxed canvas style packs, if you will. So the look dead simple design, and then they seem more, I guess, I don't know whether traditional is the right word. I don't know what the word is that I'm thinking of really. But what's the difference in the materials, in the makeup of them, and so on then?
Yeah, the more technical fabrics or the more technical packs that you find will generally have a lighter fabric that's maybe built with a ripstop capacity within the textile. A lot of them will be coated as well on the inside to make sure that as much water as possible doesn't get in. You'll find that sort of obviously brings a sustainability issue as well. Your traditional cotton packs with their wax coating, although these days I'm suspecting they might not be a wax coating, but I don't know.
If it's some plasticky, it just looks
you find Low Alpine, for example, have this past season 98% of their packs have a fabric with a coating that's 98%, 98% of the packs are fluorocarbon free. So that coating, which is probably a petrochemical based coating, is no longer containing nasty fluorocarbons, which do not do nice things to the environment. They just sit about in the environment for a long time. You see as well, there's an emergence. I think Deuter have brought out a new Infinity range, which looks visually very different. Again, like your traditional visual on your rucksacks, they look very different. The Infinity ones are made of recycled scraps of their own fabric. So if you look at them, they're just very almost like sort of bold colours, very basic. And those are again sort of more towards the fashion end rather than the technical end. I think the issue with a lot of companies are finding with the fantastic technology that goes into the fabrics that they use that are part of that build of their rucksack, it's difficult to use sustainable fabrics in that same capacity, or I think they will get there. It's just not going to happen overnight. A lot of these companies are looking at the big picture, so they're working with environmental projects, they're cutting their CO2 emissions, and they're looking at their social responsibility as well as their environmental responsibilities. But fundamentally, use your pack for as long as possible. That's one. The whole sort of increase in CO2 emissions is sort of being driven in the textile industry anyway, by a growth in production and a shorter time of the lifestyle of the item. So people are buying a cheap item, using it for a few months, binning it, as opposed to my rucksack from my D&V days, which is significantly older than 5 years.
Yeah. I'm just reflecting. I'm just trying to think how old my Berghaus one is as well. Actually, it must be 20 years old. I think it must be. Mine's
actually gone crispy now. I took it out because I did a backpacking trip a couple of years ago, and I was like, I'm going to use my original pack. It's going to be awesome. And I got it out, and it was literally, I put it on my shoulders, and it was crispy. The fabric has degraded so much.
Yeah. Maybe time to say goodbye. Yeah.
It's in my little bag of stuff what I can't get rid of.
Too many memories in that.
My vintage bag. It comes out. It gets dusted off for shop displays every now and again.
Brilliant. But I guess back I guess it's a design thing, isn't it? Coming back to the materials that are involved. So when you look at a big rucksack, particularly, and if it's made up of loads of different chunks and sections and so on, and there's going to be a fair amount of waste in that, I guess, isn't there? Where again, you look at the old traditional ones, and they were just square. Or rectangular. It was made in a very small amount of component parts, I guess, wasn't it? And that's the like you say, the fashion ones. So the likes of, I was thinking Fjallraven and stuff like that are very, very, very simple to look at, aren't they? As opposed to your technical ones where you are going to need them for climbing or multi-day backpacking or so on. So yeah, there's a lot more waste involved in producing that because it's a bit more bitty, isn't it? Yeah.
They're getting better at looking at the circular life of the product, so looking at the end of life, the way it can be recycled as well. So all that is being built in by these companies as well. But again, if you're buying, whether you're buying from Fjallraven, whether you're buying from Low Alpine, from Black Diamond, from Mountain Equipment, from Deuter, from the brands that we stock, all of these companies are building products that are going to last a very long time. And they're not going to be heading to landfill anytime soon. And most importantly, I mean, in all of our shops, we've got a little section full of replacement buckles, replacement straps. You can buy extra straps to strap extra stuff on the outside of your pack. There's all sorts of things you can do if part of your rucksack does get damaged. You can also send it back to the manufacturer. You've got companies like Lancashire Sports Repairs that specialise in rucksack repairs. So there's lots you can do if your rucksack gets damaged to get it fixed. Yeah,
don't chuck it out. That's for sure. I know. Yeah, I had one that I managed to. It was an ultimate direction pack, which was absolutely fantastic. But for me, anyway, it served its purpose. But I give it to a friend, and she repaired it actually, and she still runs in it now. It's a brilliant piece of kit. But that had all sorts of adaptations, like the chest straps had been extended because they're not designed for somebody of my frame, shall we say. It's not. They were definitely a bit snug in particular areas. But then, that's like say then, there's all sorts of adaptations that you can make just to figure out that it's going to work for you. And the stuff, I guess, what I was going to ask was about like pole and ice axe attachment points as well. It's always they always befuddle me, to be perfectly honest. But the stuff on the outside, isn't there? And you were saying like this sleeping bag attachment points, roll mat attachment points, and all that sort of gubbins.
Yeah, you're not on your own and being befuddled there. There's I tread very carefully because I don't tend to work on the shop floor a huge amount. I don't work full time on the shop floor these days. So if somebody's looking at rucksacks, I tread very carefully when I start showing them the different fixings and the way things link together, because there's always a marketing department somewhere, a production department somewhere that has come up with a new way of closing this or opening that or cinching that down, and I can't work the damn thing out, which is just really bad.
We'll stick this attachment point on, and then it's a really good idea. It's a unique selling point. Yeah.
I don't know how many different ways there are to attach an ice axe to a rucksack, but there are many. And whether it's skis, whether it's ice axes, whether it's poles, one really important thing to just bear in mind is how fiddly they are, and can you use them with gloves in the winter if that's what you're wanting to do.
Or tired, it's that dexterity thing, isn't it? I always do this little that's not working very well because audio wise, but this when you got really fiddly stuff for your fingers when you just your processing isn't quite there, or like say you need gloves on to do it.
No, you just get to a point you think, stuff it, I'll just put my ice axe down between my shoulders and the back of the bag.
Or throw it off a cliff edge or something. I've had enough of that.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we do.
Exactly. I'm never coming here again. I needed that. Exactly. It's like the golfer with the golf club spinning through the air. That's it. I'll digress. I'll get onto walking pole stories if I carry on down that line. I guess is there anything we're coming up to time? I think, to be honest, is there any final words of wisdom? I think we've covered everything that I had written down in my hasty scribbles as we're talking, and the stuff that that you sort of pre-prepared.
The key message is that load carrying doesn't need to be miserable. It is perfectly possible to find a rucksack that will be comfortable for you to carry. It might need some adaptations, possibly, you know, as you said, with your straps across the front. If the back is there and it's fitting properly on the back, then everything else, you know, you can work to adapt it as required. But no, you can. It doesn't need to be miserable, and you can have just a brilliant time backpacking. Although, to be fair, backpacking by design, you do enjoy it more when you've finished. That just
yeah. When you take the pack off, that is the fun.
You can look back wistfully on those moments, you know.
Yeah, the photographs.
In the bog and the weight of your pack came over your head.
Yeah. We've all got stories like that. I know Glyn once slipped off. He was a regular at this, but slipped into a stream, and I thought he was wearing quite a big pack for the day, but I think it saved him cracking his head open on a rock, because he ended up like a turtle on his back, very, very close to a very sharp rock. But anyway, that's a. So that's that was episode 10. What's in your sack? Yeah. So if anyone needs any more information, you've got buyer's guides on the website.
We do. We have buyer's guides available on our online shop website, which is www.climbers-shop.com. And then we also have links to a load of knowledge on how to look after packs, what to think about when you're buying a pack, and how to size a pack. All of those links are on our Joe Brown Outdoor Academy website, and that's www.joebrownoutdoor.com.
Awesome. So we'll be back again soon.